Some of you may remember I made a video recently about why I was downgrading from my Supernote tablet, which is about a $400 tool, to a paper solution that was about maybe $20 in total. In that video, I outlined the reasons that I switched and the benefits I expected to get from switching over to paper. And I did do that. I used what I called my Master Goal book, that journal that I outlined in that video, for about a month and a half, and I benefited in those ways. However, I have since reverted back to Supernote, at least for the majority of my applications. I'm still using paper for some things as well. But I want to talk in this video why in returning to Supernote, I realized what I've been missing, what I forgot that I was benefiting from before, and the things that make Supernote a superior tool to paper. Empecemos. Number one, Supernote gives you a focused, one page at a time view. In the video that I made about why I was switching over to paper, I actually expounded the fact that with a journal you could see 2 pages at a time, the left side and the right side, as a feature of paper, as an advantage that paper had over the Supernote. However, in returning to the Supernote, I'm sort of reminded that an advantage of having only 1 page visible at a time is that it enables you a great deal of focus. And so, for example, the way that I use Supernote for daily planning, you can see an example here. As when I look at my day's plan for the day in first thing in the morning, I can see only the things that are relevant to me in that very moment, the morning goals, for example, or the open goals, and then the rest of the day for me outlined as well. And then if I want to go and see what my goals are for the week, I have to go to an entirely different journal series, which again, that could be thought of as a disadvantage that the Supernote has to paper, or you can think of it on its head in that you're focusing only on one thing at a time, which is, we're not able to operate otherwise. Number 2, undo and redo. In returning to the Supernote, I'm actually quite surprised with how helpful it's been just to simply have the undo and redo tools when I'm writing or striking through tasks that I've done. If I ever make a mistake with paper, even if you're using pencil, a strike through or something like that is quite decisive, and it's hard to undo it without erasing the entire phrase or whatever that you're trying to undo. Whereas with the Supernote, just like you would on Microsoft Word or something, you have an undo and a redo button that enables you to very quickly fix those mistakes so that you are moving through your workflow much more fluidly. Number 3, the Supernote allows you to move items around very quickly and easily. Similar to the undo-redo functionality of the Supernote, another thing that you can do with it is very quickly and easily move words or symbols or whatever else of your handwriting around very flexibly because you're working on a screen, even though it appears very like paper. As you know, with paper this is not possible. You have to erase whatever you don't want there and re-put it somewhere else completely fresh. Whereas with the Supernote, you can lasso, is what it's called, different words or phrases, and move them directly, or copy or cut and paste. Number 4, templates. One of the things that I mentioned in that video that I made about why I was downgrading from the Supernote to paper was that templates were one of the things that I thought I could be giving up. It was a compromise I was making in order to go over to paper. And I was completely right. Templates are one of the core things that I use in daily planning on Supernote now. I'll show you an example on the screen. This right here is the template that I've designed in Canva for my daily block scheduling. And so the way it works is I have a column on the very left for the start time of each block. The column right after that is for the name of the block itself. And then on the far right, with all of the rest of the space of the page, I have room for making my task lists for each block of the day. If I had to do this manually with a paper journal, I would have to physically write out not only the tasks that I'm doing each day, but also the names of the columns, the lines separating the columns themselves, the whole structure of the layout, and I'd have to do that every single day. Or even if I tried to batch it, I'd have to do that once a week, and I was finding it could take me up to 10 to 15 minutes just to lay out the outline of my week. Whereas with Supernote, it's as simple as going to the place in my journal series where I have the entire week's outline already prepared. I have the template in place, and literally all I do is I select each of the pages that I'm using, the Monday through Sunday pages. I'll copy them, bring them over to the front, paste all of those pages, and then my entire week's layout, including not only the names of each of the columns and the structure of the day, the block schedule structure, but also the names and the start times of each block of each day, because those typically don't change. Those are all outlined for me throughout the whole week, and then all I have to do is fill in with whatever I can plan ahead of time, like the tasks that I'm doing and when I'm doing them, when I'm working, when I'm trying to get to bed, etc. Number 5, forever memory. One of the things I was running into with paper is I would get to the end of my week and I'd have this whole series of days of plans that I made that I didn't know what to do with. I could just throw it away, I guess, but that itself is kind of annoying because I have to rip out the page and then put it in the recycle, and then I'm kind of overthinking it, like, well, maybe I should keep them, and if I keep them, then should I archive them, and how am I going to archive them so that it's organized, so that I can go back and actually read through my notes that I want to read through. So it was just kind of like an unnecessary hassle that doesn't exist with the Supernote, because with the Supernote, I can have 1 page or 1,000 pages in a journal series, and it takes up the exact same amount of physical space, which is none. It doesn't require any physical space whatsoever, and so I can keep an entire year's worth of daily plans and then just restart a journal series at the end or at the beginning of every new year, for example, so that it stays organized. And then they're all just archived for me. If I wanted to in the future go back and look and see what I was working on during a certain season of my life, years down the road, when that might sound more like a more appealing idea, I can do that very quickly and easily because Supernote allows you forever memory. Finally, number 6, and this is my favorite one. The Supernote is just clean and compact. When I was using paper, I was under the impression that it would be more or less just as easy to flip through pages of a physical journal and therefore use the journal regularly for my daily and weekly and other planning. But for whatever reason, in returning to the Supernote, I'm finding myself using this so much more often and enjoying it a little more, because there's just something about the Supernote and the folio, especially the beautiful folio, and opening it up and immediately having the front page, the page that you want usually in front of you, that makes it easy to take with you to work and to be referencing it throughout the day and to just use it more often. I take this into my bedroom with me, and right before bed I can use it to overview my next day. And I tried to do that same thing with the Master Goal Book, and I thought, like I said, that it would be more or less just as easy to flip open to the correct page to go and check over my next day's plan. But I was finding instead that I wasn't using it as much to reference my future days because it didn't have that 1 page at a time focus. I would flip open to the right page and I would have 4 days in front of me, and there wouldn't be that focus that I have with the Supernote. In addition to that, it's a little bit bulkier, and trying to jot down notes or adjust my plans on the fly while I'm on the go is just not as seamless, and therefore I was not doing it as often as I am now with the Supernote. Subscribe for more optimization.